I want to try and get to the bottom of being a foodie in Jersey, because I think it's quite a specific thing. I mean, not necessarily Jersey, but living on an island, you know, we can go to London and all that kind of thing. Something that drives me crazy is when people go to restaurants, new restaurants in Jersey, and they say, it's like being in the city. And you're like, well, I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be like being in Jersey in goods, you know? As much as I've said in the blog that I want to be honest about the places I review, because not everything is the best all the time. It's just the way it is. I don't want to flat out slate anybody. Do you know what I mean? I would never be fully. I mean, I've never had a meal in Jersey that was so unbelievable that I've unbelievably bad. So So it's legitimizing eating and drinking too much. If I can call it a hobby, there won't be an intervention. I'm not going to come home to a house full of people saying you spend too much time in restaurants. I'll say it's a blog. It's my job. It's my job. We have a joke where if you open a restaurant in Jersey, you've got to do sea bass and royals. And don't get me wrong, I love sea bass and royals, but not everywhere I go. My wife's idea for long term is that I have the Wanker Network, which is like a film review thing and a food thing and a music thing, and it's just all people that want to be wankers about stuff, you know. There's got to be a world record for the amount of times the word wanker has been said on this podcast.
What are the restaurants you have in mind to review?
Well, it's really...
Mike from jerseyfoodandwine.com.
Yep.
Welcome to Hospitality Insights.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Slightly different approach today, because I thought actually that you are deep into hospitality in terms of like you work in the past in hospitality and you left or you still in it. Yeah. But your story is slightly different. And I'm going to start with reading the description from your website, which is a blog, which you review restaurants, you review, well, at least it's at the beginning of early stages.
Absolutely.
But I like the idea. I think it's amazing. For Jersey, something like this, I think it will do well, genuinely.
Yeah, I hope so.
So you review restaurants, you review wines. So who knows where you're going to get from here on. It's interesting. I love it. But let's read the description from the website. So you say, hello, I'm Mike. I'm a fancy bitch, a bon vivant, food wanker. I spent the last few years going down a rabbit hole of food and drink, and I thought it might be fun to share some of my thoughts on being a foodie in Jersey. I love the description, and we actually talked just before starting the podcast that, you know, when I saw it, I'm like, this is the man, you know, I love having him on, you know, because it looks like you do like what you do, and you also take it with a pinch of salt, and you almost like you have fun with what you do, which I think it's really important.
No point otherwise, right?
Absolutely. So with this in mind, tell us about what you do. So I kind of cover like parts of what you do. Obviously, your 9-to-5 job is totally different because we already established that you're not part of like active into hospitality. Who knows? Maybe one day.
Maybe.
Yeah, this is it. But yeah, give us a bit of an insight of like what you do with what are you trying to achieve with this blog?
So I mean, I for years had a podcast with a friend of mine that was to do with movies and tech, and he moved back to the UK, and I kind of liked having something that I did every month or something that I could focus on that was a bit more creative. So rather than try and do the same thing without him, because it wouldn't have been as good, I was thinking about other things I love, and food and wine is the main thing I love. Yeah. So it got to a point where a lot of people were asking me for restaurant recommendations or asking me if they should go places. I started to share reviews of wine on my Instagram and things like that, and people seem to be interested and that kind of thing. So I thought, well, I'll write some things down. I always liked writing. I did a couple of bits for Love Wine that they sent out as an email that was articles about carbonic maceration and about skin contact wines. And again, quite good feedback on that. So I spun up a blog and I've done a few articles now. It's been good. It's been good.
Yeah, it looks great. And the part that I like the most is, and I'm excited about, you know, the more restaurants you'll do and especially eating places. Because with wine, you know, I don't really get it 100%, but when I'm going to look at the reviews for restaurants, I like the way you kind of the way you review them. I think is quite an interesting way of doing it.
I'm just trying to be a bit more natural about it. It doesn't have to be a stuffy thing, you know. You're there to enjoy yourself, so it's just about whether I enjoy myself or not, pretty much. So yeah.
But how did you get into into cooking, let's say, because the reason why I thought that you genuinely, part of active member of hospitality or you've done it in the past is because I've seen some of the cooking you do on your Instagram, and I thought, they look absolutely delicious. So, you do like your barbecue from what I could see.
I do, yeah. Well, the sun's out or not, as last night's case. No, so when I first met my wife, I couldn't cook at all. And I cooked her spaghetti meatballs one night, and I bought a jar of sauce. And she just absolutely was not having it and marched me down to the shop, bought an onion and some garlic and a can of tomatoes, showed me how to make sauce. And then I thought, well, I could make my own meatballs if I bought mince. How do you do that? And then I just went online and Googled how to make meatballs, and it has literally been a rabbit hole since. Just more and more stuff. I go through phases. I went through a phase where I was obsessed with cooking with a wok. I'm constantly obsessed with making pizzas. I've got a Gosni arc that I use at least twice a week. And now barbecue season, so I'm trying to do as much Turkish and Persian and that kind of food that's all, grilled. And it will be something else. It was pasta during the winter. It'll be something else in October. And yeah, just like I say, it's all I do. Watch YouTube videos of cooking, read articles, it's all I do and think about. So yeah, I love it. It's my meditation basically. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's nice having something. Well, I wouldn't say cursed because I do like what I do, especially with the podcast, and I've got a cooking channel, and I genuinely do love it. But one of the things that I do at work, which is marketing design, I'm the videographer for the company, photographer. What I do at work sometimes feel like I'm doing the same at home, but in my own way, which is still very refreshing because even when I was in hospitality, like most of my colleagues I remember at the time, on the day off, they would be like, I don't want to see cooking anymore. Just do something else. Take away, eat like ready meals and all that. I was the kind of guy that, although I was doing, let's say, 6 days a week working, if I have the 7th one off, then I would love to cook because I'm doing on my own terms,
absolutely.
However you feel on the day. I thought that, at least from that point of view, I was different.
Yeah, no, I think it's something. If I want to really relax on the weekend, this sounds insane. I will choose something to cook that requires a lot of prep, because if I have to break down a load of onions and like if I'm making a sofrito or something like that, and I have to just spend an hour chopping, that is heaven. I cannot think of anything more relaxing. Put some music on and just cook. It's just there's nothing like it. So yeah, it's become a bit of an obsession.
What's the feedback from the friends, family? They do. I guess they love having you around.
Yeah, they do. They do. I recently had a friend who brought his girlfriend round, and it seemed like I was suddenly running a restaurant one night, which is very interesting. But no, it's the feedback's always been really good. I've toyed with the idea of maybe doing a pop-up of something. I was thinking about doing a pop-up for smash burgers, actually. But then they have now suddenly become very popular in Jersey, and I'm not going to try and beat Tommy Radegay at his own game. I'm not insane. don't need that comparison. So no, but I'll so it's something I've played around with the idea of, but who knows, maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day, maybe something, I feel like Jersey's is amazing for different things, unique things. The island, I feel like, responds very well when you, let's say if you were to do something, I don't know, well, we've got Mexican, we've got Thailand, Persian, you said, Let's say you want to do something like that. Awesome. I feel like people would react very well. And especially at the beginning, you see, it's something that I actually talked on the previous podcast, which is going to be out by the time of this one, was a new place opening at the horizon. If you've seen, is the family that owns Ransom Tea Rooms. Okay. So they're gonna open 2 places there, and they want to bring something different as well. A combination of local ingredients with, I think, something Asian. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
And you just had Levant open behind Colmar, right? I mean, that's all kebabs and baba ganoush and stuff like that as well. So that's really cool. It's something I say in the article I put out last week about Awabi. I feel like they sort of proved that people in Jersey were open to something a little bit more interesting. Feels like since they've opened, it's given other people a bit more confidence to be like, well, just because it doesn't already exist in Jersey doesn't mean people won't eat it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally right.
So yeah, it's really good. It's certainly, I mean, I've lived here 20 years, and it's really changed in the last few years as well, right? It's like it's happened all at once kind of thing.
It's changing good or it's changing bad? How do you?
I think it's good. I think it's changing good. I mean, we have a joke where if you open a restaurant in Jersey, you've got to do sea bass and royals. And don't get me wrong, I love sea bass and royals, but not everywhere I go. Not every single place. So so just anything that is new or is trying something interesting.
Sparks some imagination.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it's just like a wabi. I think I've tried to replicate every single one of their dishes at home. You know what I mean? Like, all these places I go and they have wonderful food, and I think I could try and do that.
How do you choose? So if let's say, well, as we said, we are in early stages with reviewing restaurants. You've done a few, but how do you choose? These places. Where you're going to review. As you go out, you do it all the time, whatever you find interesting. How does it work?
So it's a little bit of
both.
Do
you get approached by? Do you approach the owners?
No. So no, and I was thinking about that. Should I be asking them if that's okay?
No. I don't think you should, because if it's like leaving a comment on TripAdvisor, more or less, what are you going to do about those guys?
That's true. And I mean, as much as I've said in the blog that I want to be honest about the places I review. Because not everything is the best all the time. It's just
True.
the way it is. I don't want to flat out slate anybody. Do you know what I mean? I would never be fully. I've never had a meal in Jersey that was so unbelievable that I've unbelievably bad. So really, we go out quite a lot to eat, my wife and I, just because we like restaurants. We have a few faves, so I've sort of tried to split it up. So I've started a series called My Favorite Things, which is going to be about all my favorite places. So it will be upstairs, and it will be Bistro Rosa and the fish market, and a few places like that I love. Like Why Not? The cafe does the best club sandwich on the island. Just places like that. So I want to do that just to draw attention to some of that. And then really it will just be reviews as I'm going to places and trying them. So it'll be a mix of new stuff. It will be places that I'm revisiting. And yeah, we've got enough restaurants. I should be able to do it for a little while at least,
Yeah, there are a ton of restaurants. You're right. Because I remember when I came to Jersey, so that was the reason why I came, because I always wanted to work in hospitality. Okay. I started in Romania, did a bit there, and then I seen like there are, I can't remember at the time, or like 300 something, at least just on Google or on TripAdvisor around that number. And I'm like, this is amazing. There's so many more than in my city, So yeah, that was the main reason. And when I came here, I was like, this is the heaven of restaurants. At the time, there were like 3 Michelin star places.
Sure, yeah. Of course.
Now we only have 1. A few things change, I guess. But it was very impressive for me. I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
I have so much room of expansion and growth in the kitchen and learn everything from here. It was really, really good.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. It's something I always say. If I could do my time again, if I could go and speak to 17-year-old me, I'd say don't bother. I mean, I didn't finish university. I actually tried twice and didn't do it either time. I would say don't try and do film at university. Just go and get a job in a kitchen, mate. You don't realize how much you love it, but you do. But I think perhaps I'm a little bit old now to try and join a brigade somewhere.
But look, for example, I think things change so much comparing to like years back. Careers are not what not careers. Jobs are not what they used to be. Like, look, for example, you can be a really good gamer and make millions, literally. So I think exactly the same way. Since the film part, you have some expertise there. Maybe you can combine that with, let's say, instead of just doing the blog, you might turn it into a vlog. You might start cooking in front of the camera. Who knows? You might have a spin on.
And I'm definitely open to any of that. And that's part of why I started the blog. Because as you say, I can do whatever I want. Right? It's how hard is it to make a YouTube channel or whatever? I'm already taking photos of every single thing I make to eat. So it's not that much more effort to set up a tripod with a phone on it, So it's it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But like I say, as you say, it's early days still, but we'll see.
No, honestly, I think you can take these miles away from here, and especially video being quite powerful these days. Who knows? Maybe you get back into filming, and it doesn't need to be too fancy. Like I feel like, especially for the past year or so, or even 2 years, because I'm into this YouTube and I'm spending my days on it, just to try to understand better not the algorithm, but see how people react to videos, react to social media and all that, because it's part of like what I do, even outside of C5 BDO, when I help restaurants with social media management, content creation, and so on. I want to do my best, so I'd stay up to date basically with it.
Yeah.
And what I've seen is that genuine content, works. And not that polished as well. Like people want to see almost like the behind the scenes of what you do.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, something that BBC style or whatever
half the videos I watch, I just want to see a shot of somebody's hands cooking. It's like
understand the
process. There's a guy I watch, Kenji Lopez. Yeah. He's got the GoPro on his head.
The guy's a genius.
That is pure meditation for me.
And he's barefoot. And I remember just
watching that man chop up an onion for 15 minutes or chop a load of onions up for 15 minutes.
He's not even cutting the video much. He's not speeding up much. It's literally...
It really feels like you're in the kitchen with him. It's great. I love it. And like I say, I find those videos so relaxing. It is crazy. It really is. Yeah. When he does live cook-alongs that show up on YouTube and they're 2 hours long, I put it on in the background and just, it's great. I love it. I love that kind of stuff. So so maybe something like that one day. I don't know. It's, interesting. We'll see.
I just want to take a moment to tell you that if you are struggling to manage your social media for your hospitality businesses, you are not alone. At True 24 FPS, we are not just producing content for the sake of doing it. We are focusing exclusively on Jersey's hospitality industry, and we are turning your followers into loyal guests. Your attention as a hospitality business owner, manager, or head chef is leading staff, focusing on day-to-day operations, and also maybe changing menus and other things that are day-to-day challenges. But you don't have time for social media, which is still a critical part, but it just falls behind. So leave the social media and content creation side for us, because this is what we specialized in, so you can focus on what you do best. And now back to the episode.
Is it scary? Does it feel like scary that you put yourself out there?
It took me, so I've had 3 articles written for 4 months. And I have just sort of sat with my finger over the publish button on the blog thinking, I don't like, but it's like imposter syndrome, isn't it? Who am I? Why are they going to listen to me? And what happens if I say something that upsets somebody and all that kind of stuff? And eventually enough people just said, just shut up and publish the damn thing.
You are good enough.
Yeah, it's been nice. It's been nice. And the response has been good. It's been nice. Most people have said, finally, you've done this. So that's nice. But it's been good. We'll see.
There is something, there's a person that I follow, and again, they were talking about imposter syndrome and, finding it hard to start and all that. And the advice was like, just start. Nobody will watch it anyway. It was like, honestly, at the beginning, nobody will care.
That is what I convinced myself. I was just like, I couldn't, and then I was making an excuse if I couldn't get it looking how I wanted the blog, and then was like,
perfection is the enemy.
This doesn't, just get it out and then worry about what the logo looks like, you idiot. Just get it out. It's fine. That's the hard bit. And now it is. Now I've got over that bump. I can't stop writing. It's great. I'm doing 1 a week, but I'm probably writing 2 a week at the moment. So I've got loads in hand now. It's just, I've sort of given myself permission to enjoy it. It's really good. It's really good.
Do you know an island chef?
I don't really know the chefs. I know some people that run restaurants and
no, but
chefs
the island chef, the
guy
that's
yes, I had, yes.
Yeah,
so
he was on a podcast a while back. So cool. He reviews. It's now mainly kind of like it kind of feels like he's going in that direction. He does a lot with beers now.
He's the Caskaway as well, right?
Yes.
His other account.
Yes. So he reviews beers and also food. And again, you look at what he's posting. He's not focusing again. It's not necessarily about the quality picture looking, 3 points of lighting. No, I'm most likely he's doing it on their phone, on his phone. Good recipe, well explained. There you go. You can follow it.
Yeah.
And I feel like he would be great. Honestly, he would be absolutely amazing if he would do videos. Like I have him on the podcast, and the amount of the wealth of information he's got, and it almost like the history of food, like going back to
See, very interesting.
Years and years. I said that I'll get him back one day, and luckily he's up for it. So we'll organize something eventually. But what are the restaurants you have in mind to review?
Well, it's really anywhere I'm going, if I'm honest. I haven't got anywhere set. I'm doing a little series called My Favorite Things. So that will cover all my faves. There'll be less reviews as they are articles about why I like the places so much. I'm trying to do a bit of a balance between reviews and that. Just because I can't afford to eat out as much as I would like to. So I can't do a review every week. So yeah, so I'm doing that a little bit. But then it will be anywhere I'm going or anywhere new that opens that I'm going to try and get in. And yeah, I spend so much time in these places anyway that do you know what I mean? I don't have to go out of my way to go to eat somewhere to review it, unless it's new, in which case I'll definitely do that, So, but I've got one coming out on Friday for the Spice View in Gory because we went up to there the weekend. It's really nice.
Yeah, Sam from Cafe Spice. He's got something there. I don't know whether he owns it, but I think he's in partnership with someone.
I didn't realise. So
as far as I know.
So Cafe Spice for all Indian food on the island is our comparison point, right? Like, is it as good as Cafe Spice? So yeah, no, that's interesting. I didn't know he was involved there actually.
Yeah. As far as I know, yeah, he is. I mean, I'm not confirmed with him. It's funny actually because he was on the podcast a while back. We're talking like a year ago or so, and I asked him like, have you ever considered opening another Cafe Spice? I was like, Cafe Spice is only one. It's never going to happen. I'm not even investing anymore. I used to. I'm done. And look, you never really know where the life is heading.
An opportunity arises, and yeah, there you go. Yeah, no. So there's places I definitely want to go down. I haven't been down to the moorings since it's been kind of revamped and stuff, refurbished and stuff. Haven't been down there yet. And then just lots of places like Atlantic and that kind of stuff. Anything that I can use the excuse of having a food blog to go back to. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of money for a Thursday. Yeah, it is, but it's for the blog, so we should go. We should just go.
But how do you see this in the future? Do you think that it will head in a way that to a point where you'll have people contacting you to review your restaurant, or if you go there, you at least get the food for free or something?
Well, I have a bit of a rule in my head is that I'm not throwing shade on anybody who does this. I have a bit of an understanding of how difficult it is to run a restaurant. So sometimes if you're at a place and you get a free round of drinks or something, that's very nice. But I don't want to sort of accept free food and things like that, because if I like these places, I'd sort of like to contribute and to support them if I can, right? I mean, I have a job, it pays me reasonably well. I can afford to pay my bill. I should do, That said, but no, in all seriousness, it's something that I think is very nice, but I wouldn't want to feel beholden. I mean, I suppose it's early doors to be talking about journalistic integrity.
I know we're taking these like a...
But no, in seriousness, it's these. If we want these places to survive, I can't ask them to give me free food because 50 people might read my restaurant review. I would feel bad. Do you know what I mean?
I guess
if I had a reach of 10,000 people, then it might be different. But
and I guess it also comes. I guess this is going to a point where, well, if they give you free food, can you really say something bad about them? It's the moral part where you don't probably feel like fully genuine. And I think if this is the way I see it and the way I see content creation myself, like it's almost like give everything for free and then something good will happen. And also the way you can make money from your audience, for example. You'll have people supporting you in different ways. If let's say you're going to start a YouTube channel, or there are tons of ways of monetizing different kind of social media channels. Maybe you make money out of views, maybe merch. It could be, you can expand from
food wanker hats or something.
Honestly, you need to trademark that.
But no, it's like I say, it's and I know a lot of people get into content creation for clout and then freebies and that kind of stuff. But it's just more about, God, it sounds so pious. But it's more about just like, I just love these places and I'd like to celebrate them, and it's something that interests me, and if people are interested, then cool. Read my reviews and that kind of thing. But it's I haven't got as far as thinking about turning it into a day job or even a part-time job yet. So
I guess it keeps you busy outside of your work, but it's not a way of bringing income. It's more of like wasting money. Not wasting, it's spending. You see, it's the same as the wine reviews. It's legitimizing eating and drinking too much. If I can call it a hobby, there won't be an intervention. I'm not going to come home to a house full of people saying,
you spend too much time in restaurants. I'll say it's a blog. Yeah, it's my job. It's my job. So yeah, so it's good. Like I say, it's just something I really enjoy and something I kind of, if I can get anybody into these places to eat, then they'll stay open for longer and I can keep going there.
That you see,
selfishly.
But you see, this is why, like because you kind of question, why you even here, on the podcast, but with what you do, you could spark imagination in someone's, mind, and they'll be like, that looks amazing, and I kind of believe these guys. I've seen previous reviews. He looks genuine. Why not give that restaurant a try?
Yeah, and it's the same with wine. It's like I've written a couple of articles on wine. Shockingly, they've had considerably less views than the restaurant reviews. I'm not surprised by that. But when I started in lockdown, in first lockdown, when I couldn't go to restaurants anymore, I was like, maybe I should investigate wine and see what wine I like, and then that was it.
And how was the process for you when you review wine? Do you just find interesting labels and you be like, okay, let's see how this goes, or you have specific regions, or do you have something that you know you're gonna like and you kind of go that rabbit hole?
Yeah.
Let's say, like for example, I like Italian wines, red Italian wines and Greek white wines.
Nice. Yeah,
so especially the one that are a bit more mineral. I was in Santorini a few years back with my wife, and oh my god, I'm like, I don't want to see any more floral wines in my life. Honestly, I fell in love with wine that grows in like shitty places, pretty much, where it's just rock and not
have to
much.
Handpick everything. It's just
exactly, and they're tiny grapes. Okay, it comes more. It's more expensive. It's just the way it is because
smaller yields, harder to pick, all that kind of good stuff.
Exactly, yeah. And then on the red side, I'm gonna be more Italy, South Italy. Toscana, I think, is sometimes overrated. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying I've been there. I think it's amazing. Don't get me wrong, but for that price, you can find other regions.
Like I said, I got into wine in lockdown, and I did the WSET level 2 last year, and I'm going to do level 3 this year. And first of all, I just got into like the really funky. So I started as a craft beer drinker, right? And I liked all the weird craft beers. So then I got into natural wine, all the skin contact stuff, the stuff that's hazy, that's a weird.
How does it work behind the scenes?
Exactly, yeah. So that really interested me. And then the more I got into it, I basically worked my way through the Love Wine website and then ran out of the natural wine. So went to the more traditionally made wines. Then, like I say, I did the qualification because I was so interested. I wanted to learn a bit more. So I'd know what I was talking about or what I was looking for a bit more. And now it's either specific makers that I really like. I've just got the website sorted by new, so when they get new stuff in, I think that sounds like it might be good. I would.
Is Love Wine where you usually get your stuff?
Yeah, Love Wine's the main place. It's they were delivering during lockdown. God bless them. That is God's work. That is bringing me wine every week. And then it just sort of went from there. Because I was so keen, I sort of got to know a couple of the guys there. Got to know Will a little bit. And they've been really supportive of me learning more and that kind of. I mean, of course, I'm going in there and saying, "Give me as many wines as you can." And of course, they're supportive. So Love Wine's the main one. I do go to Dunnell's and Gory Wine Cellar and that kind of stuff for some bits, but Love Wine, just sort of the wine they do is more sort of my
Majestic, the new one. Have you been?
I haven't been up there. I've had a look at the website. I was a bit concerned because I thought, that's going to eat the bottom out of the market, right? Like Majestic is such a big buyer. Yes. There's no way that they're buying in such bulk that who can compete with that? But actually, rather than come in and undercut everybody, some of it is a little bit pricier than I expected and stuff. They've got some good stuff up there. They've got an interesting range, but nothing that's cool to me so much that I've run up there to get it yet. But,
I think it's interesting with this because you're touching on suppliers basically, both for the hospitality industry and shops and everything else. It's something that I talk to suppliers on the podcast, and you form relationships exactly like you were talking about. That's why when I ask you, only Love Wine, because there are a ton on a small island like this, there are a ton of them. It's a huge competition, both on the wholesale food part and also drinks. So it is quite a lot of competition. And apparently, from what I'm getting from these guys, in Jersey is about relationships. People will pay an extra penny.
Yeah,
they're not going to look at that extra penny because they know if they need that product, outside of working hours sometimes, you'll make that extra effort. So
Yeah.
it's about relationship and how you basically manage them, as a supplier.
Yeah.
Or even as a restaurant, as a restaurant owner or chef.
No, definitely. It's sort of a job I would like to do, actually. I quite like to be the rep for a wine, go into the restaurant, look at the menu. These are the wines I suggest. It's quite a cool thing. It's like half sommelier, half salesman. I quite like it. But it really is, like you say, that relationship. I think that's why, as far as I know, they haven't managed to undercut them locally just because of those relationships are there, and they go, well, you're not my normal wine guy, and I'm not interested.
And it's also the fact that from what I see, you probably a bit more into it. You definitely are more into it. Like I see that there are a few overlaps in terms of like labels, but usually they go different directions. So one will bring south of France, the other one will bring Italy, but the weird parts of Italy sometimes. So they'll just kind of have something. If let's say you find a wine, most likely it's going to be only from that supplier. There are quite a few situations.
Yeah, no, there really are. So there are sometimes if I hear about a particular wine, like wine Instagram is a whole thing, as you would imagine. But sometimes I hear about a particular wine and I might go to Dunel's particularly to get that, or go to Gory Wines if they've got it, if I'm looking for a specific thing. But unless I'm looking for something specific, that's where the relationship is. So I go, now they've opened a town shop. Forget it. I mean, when they opened that town shop, I was working opposite. I was working at Instrust at the time. And just don't open a wine shop directly opposite where I leave work, man.
Dangerous.
Like, I already get a weekly delivery. I don't need to go in there every night as well, man. Like, but it's good. It's good. And like I say, I get invited to some wine tastings and I like that kind of stuff by them sometimes. And I went to one with Nigel Fielding from Felton Road last week, which was really great. To hear him talk about just tell wine stories and things like that. And yeah, it's good. It's really, really good. It's they appreciate people that are interested, basically, because they're passionate about it as well. I haven't really got a relationship with Dunel's. I think they look at me a bit funny when I come in. I don't look like a normal wine guy, admittedly, but I actually went to Hedonist Wines in Mayfair in London a little while ago. And it's amazing, that place. It's like a wine museum. It's incredible. And I suddenly realized I had like a 3-man box on me. I had like security guards.
It's like, what's this guy doing here? He doesn't wear the tie.
He's got tattoos and baggy trousers on. Follow him. And like trying to buy a 40-year-old bottle of Pinot or something. And like, I'm here for reasons, man. Give me a break. But no, like I say, it's the relationship, right? It's that's so important. And that's the same with eating as well. It's if you don't feel welcome, like everyone wants to go to a restaurant and almost feel like they're being welcomed into someone's house, right? They want to feel so at home. Last time I went to Pecci, Chef Baker was like running front of house, which was really cool because like the team were doing their thing. I sat at the little chef's counter. It was really cool. They're all doing their thing, absolutely amazing, well-oiled machine. And he's like talking to me about what wine would he pair with this and this kind of stuff. It was really cool, and that's nice. There's a humility to that I think people really appreciate. And especially in a small community in Jersey, because everybody knows somebody that knows somebody. So
it's even more important.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is like how on earth, like most of these suppliers, which it's not something that you should give me an answer because I don't think they have an answer. It's like they don't collaborate, with, let's say, well, your early stages, but still, even like they have an advantage if they collaborate with you. You're not going to ask for much. If let's say, because you are at the beginning and you probably don't even know how to price your work.
Yeah, exactly.
So eventually you probably will. But what I'm saying is like having someone reviewing your wine list, your whatever wines you've got around, have someone that talks in front of a camera, about your selection of wines. And I think they did a bit during COVID, but then there were a few places that done it.
Yeah.
And you don't need much production, literally. Get your phone in front of you.
I really thought that after COVID, we'd proven that worked and was effective. But then we could all go outside again, so we all kind of forgot about it. But those things that we all had to do in COVID, in lockdown, some of them are useful, and we should continue to take them forwards. Do you see what I mean? You see what I mean? It's like going back to an office and saying that you've got to be there 4 days a week or whatever. It's like, well, I spent 2 years sat in my front room and we didn't lose any money. What's the problem? It's the same kind of thing. So yeah, I'm surprised as well.
And it's also the fact that, during COVID, why they did it, because I know why they did it. So obviously you have the relationship formed with restaurant all the restaurants, built in years. But out of a sudden, the restaurants were not there. So now it was a new relationship that you have to develop, which was with the end consumer.
Yeah.
But then when, as you said, when everything kind of got back to their normal, it was like, okay, we kind of don't really care. You'll be back with the restaurants. We not selling cases or individual bottles. We're just going with the van now, with the whole van.
Well, I think don't forget that, like, individually, all of those people, everyone that works at these places are passionate and enthusiastic. But as a whole, it's still a business, right? So, like, if they think that the previous model was more productive, then they'll just go back to it. It's just that simple, I guess. But it's just people find it very hard to stick to change sometimes, I guess. I don't know. Yeah,
that could be the case. But I do believe that, can you imagine if, let's say, you have a podcast? No, it doesn't need to be a podcast. I'm talking specifically about, let's say we put 10 bottles on the table and we taste it. It was like, I feel grapes. Not grapes. Hopefully you feel grapes. I feel like I was going to say plums and whatever, And, just talk about it. How would you pair these? I can see the customers going to the restaurants like, I've seen that wine,
So there's lots of that.
Can we get that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of that on wine Instagram outside of Jersey. So like Jamie Good, reviewing wine on camera, I think he says, or tasting wine on camera. That's always good because actually Love Wine do get a lot of the wines he tastes in. So that's always really good. There's the guy that ran I can't remember his name now, it's terrible. The guy that ran the London Marathon and kept stopping for glasses of wine. Did you see this? So he does marathons and Ironmans and all sorts of stuff. But he's also a sommelier and a wine expert. But he's got like big, long, frizzy hair. He's got a great,
that helps because you're very easy recognizable.
He's a very, very bouncy personality. And he tries these wines. He stood in his in front of his, his racks full of wines and that kind of stuff. But he's very energetic and that kind of stuff. And it just, like you say, it makes you go, oh, well, I might try that then actually, because he clearly, you can write, I really enjoyed this, 10 out of 10, or you can be seen to be enjoying it, and it sells.
And it's more genuine. It's like exactly like when I say to people sometimes when we have this conversation, because I do a lot of video, and I have these conversations like, if you put a review, just the text, people might believe it, might not, but if you do it in video, someone saying something about you, I know even that is getting fake now. You can fake that now to a degree, but people will believe that
when it's genuine. Yeah, you can tell when it's genuine. I agree with you. Definitely, it's like anything. It's much easier to convince anybody of anything in person than it is in writing. You can write out a logical argument, but a passionate speech is always going to win somebody over. So yeah, I definitely. I'm surprised they've not taken it out more locally, to be honest, because as you say, phone and a tripod and. It's only got to be 90 seconds. It hasn't. You're going to put it on Instagram stories. It's not got to be 5 hours long.
Exactly. Yeah, and job done. No, absolutely. I think that's something that they should be looking into it. But
I think you talked me into it. I think I'm going to start doing it now.
No. Because I think they'll find that the good old excuse will be, well, we don't have time. But why not get someone like you? Keep the wine, you'll get something extra, and
Can you speak to them about this? You're making an excellent case, and I love it.
Honestly, I genuinely like.
Yeah. No, I know, and like you say, it's
both sides are happy after that. You do your reviews, you post it on your blog. Who knows? Maybe after that you're gonna do a video, but.
Don't overproduce it, don't over rehearse it, just nice and natural.
It's got to be genuine.
And like I say, the videos that I do watch online of people tasting and reviewing wine. It really is. It's 2 minutes long. It starts and they've got a glass of wine and they're swirling it and they just try it and tell you their thoughts and that's it. It's it's good. And it's what does it cost? Nothing. We've all got the ability to do it in our pockets.
Honestly,
There's enough of people making videos that nobody wants to see, so you might as well put something positive out there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But when you choose wine, do you have a starting point? Do you have a ceiling? How does it work in terms of pricing?
So in terms of pricing, so that's interesting. So we have in our good Lord, I've come on this podcast. So let me explain quickly about the food wanker thing, because this will make the next part sound less painful. I get really obsessed with stuff, and I get very excited and talk about all the minutiae to people, like wine or films or whatever. And when I see certain friends or I get excited about something, my wife says, so I've got a friend, Steph, and when we watch movies together, she calls it film wankers. You're going to be film wankers with Steph, which means we're going to talk the whole way through the film because we've seen it before. We're going to talk about, oh, this reminds me of this movie and blah, 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 blah. And she calls it film wankers and it drives her crazy. So all these things that I get obsessed with. So, you know, I got obsessed with making bread. So I was a bread wanker during lockdown. It's just this thing that's
whatever you are wanker,
whatever I'm obsessed
do it,
with,
you know, it's like you're obsessed.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where the food wanker came from. So originally, my wife's idea for long term is that I have the Wanker Network, which is like a film review thing and a food thing and a music thing, and it's just all people that want to be wankers about stuff, you know. There's got to be a world record for the amount of times the word wanker has been said on this podcast.
Yeah,
so,
which is absolutely fine, you know.
So yeah,
surely people had many other bad things, more worse than these. Yeah.
So when it comes to wine, we generally have what we call our house wine. So it's a bottle of wine that's about 10 or 11 quid, 10, 11, 12 quid. And that becomes the comparison point for all the other wines. So if I buy a 50 quid bottle of wine as a special treat, the question is
he better than?
Would I rather be drinking that 12 quid bottle of wine?
That's a very interesting
And
way.
to be honest, a lot of the time, probably half the time, you'd go, I think I'd rather have 3 bottles of that. So we often have a house wine that's about that. And then if it's something from a maker that I particularly like, then I will spend a bit more. And then if it's a special occasion, I'll spend a bit more again. But there are so many good wines to find below 20 quid. It is amazing. You know, it's amazing. You know, it's the way duty works and that kind of stuff. Once you get under 10 quid, it gets a bit sketchy.
Yeah.
But 10 and 20 quid is a real sweet spot. And you can get stuff that is just out of this world. You just never know, you know. It seems like a really gauche thing, but sometimes we have people around for dinner and stuff and I pour them wine and they say how much they like it. I go, that's 11 quid. You know, I don't know, you probably shouldn't tell people that kind of thing, but I'm so amazed that it's only £11.
Are you proud that you found it?
Yeah, I found this and I'm introducing it to you. Yes, you know. So it's partially by price. It's partially by, I know what type of wine I like, what style of wine I like. So I'm always looking for that kind of thing as well. And then anything that sounds weird, anything that I go, what? So recently
I'm a sucker for labels, you know. I like to be clean labels.
It's
and,
hard,
you know,
isn't it? Sometimes
classic.
that's how I used to choose craft beers. It's got a cool label. It's got, you know, they got the stickers.
And sometimes even the bottles, the shapes of the bottles.
Absolutely, yeah. Anything that looks, that's not going to fit in my fridge. Like, I'm going to get that, you know. But yeah, so it depends. It really does depend. But it's wine is one of those things where I know a bit about it now, but I know, you know, anybody that says they're an expert on anything to do with food and wine, I immediately go, no, you're not. There's no, like, it's
huge.
Too big.
It's
too big.
subject.
You are an expert in the bit that you really like, and that's cool, and I will listen to you, but
it's huge.
Yeah, you know, it's too big to ever be to master, which is good, I guess. It means we can try new stuff forever, you know. It's worse things to do, so.
One of the wines, actually, because the reason I also ask about price, so we had the sommelier here on the podcast, we had director of sales from Randall's, Flo.
Oh, yeah.
I know Flo. So he was here, he's into his wine as well. And what I said to these guys, I'm like, I don't know what he says about me, but my favorite wine ever, like a red wine, is from Sicily. It's called Passimento. Is just like $11.50.
Yeah.
It's amazing, honestly. I introduced you to, like, literally, I'm the biggest, I don't even get paid. I need to contact these guys. I'm like, I introduce it to all my friends. Everybody, everybody's buying. Whenever I get a gift, is that. So it's literally, I spread it all over the place.
So that's the thing as well. I say in the wine articles is like, it's your wine, so do whatever you want. Do you know what I mean? Like it's subjective taste. Like, and I think with wine and sometimes with restaurants as well, there is like a kind of gatekeeperiness that you have to be some kind of expert to fully appreciate it. When in reality, everyone's got a mouth. So as long
works
as
for you.
as long as you're enjoying it, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And it's something that I do fall into sometimes because you can't like get super into wine and things like that without becoming a bit of a snob. But it's something that I'm always very, very aware of, that it's people's means and people's tastes, and they do whatever the hell they like. Who am I to tell them not to drink or eat something? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know? So it doesn't matter. 11 quid, 8 quid, 115 quid, you know, as long as you like it, it's cool.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. So on my research on trying to find like what a food wanker does, I found this website.
Eat too much and bore people about it.
tomatom.com.
Right, sorry.
Never been on it ever. So he says 11 ways to spot a food wanker. See what applies to you. I feel like some of them are a bit like, not really. I don't think they apply to you, but I'll mention them anyway. So a food wanker only ever eats single origin chicken.
Single origin chicken?
Yeah, he's got an explanation.
I tell you, so I get my beef from Blanc Pignon Farm, and I go to Woodside Farm Shop for lamb and things like that. If there was a farm in Jersey that could start raising and selling chickens, I would be very appreciated, because it's pretty much the only meat I buy in a supermarket now. We've got to a point where we eat less meat because the meat we buy is a bit more expensive, but it is so much. I mean, the beef
quality over
from Blanc
quantity.
Pignon is insane how good it is. So, like you say, quality over quantity. So if there is a chicken farmer listening or someone that can raise a chicken, that would be fantastic. That's the missing piece for me.
That's gonna be the single origin.
Then I will
happen.
eat single origin chicken.
Order only Spanish jamon.
Oh, I need Spanish ham. No, what about German ham? German ham's amazing. I'd be foolish to write off whole countries.
Well, he's got an explanation saying that, giving a bit more description, but we're not going to get into it, talking about the span and why and all that.
I do. I mean, I've been that guy with the whole leg with the knife. Obviously, I've been that guy 100%. But yeah, not exclusively. No, I'm not making myself a hand sandwich with that in my kitchen.
Shop a farmer's market.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. So farm shops and, like I say, local farms and that kind of stuff as much as possible. I think everybody should. We live in an island full of farms, and admittedly, this is a thing that I've been doing for a few years, and I've been trying it, and it is more difficult to go. I'm not just going to go over there to Co-op and buy carrots.
It's an effort in it.
Yeah, but then they've got like the hedge veg app and that kind of stuff that tells you what's where and that kind of thing that, just put a little bit of effort in. And that's what I say about cooking, right? I don't think that cooking is particularly hard. Home cooking, I should say. This is not professional, but home cooking is not hard. You just have to be bothered. So the difference between me and people I work with is when I get home from work, I will cook for an hour because I enjoy it. And I can't be at work all day. But I'm not a genius or some kind of super gifted chef natural. I just spend an hour doing it every night. And it's the same thing. Get off your bum and go to an honesty box and get some Jersey Royals. Don't buy Jersey Royals in Waitrose. It's just simple.
But you get people, like, it happens to me, and my wife says this sometimes, you go to work and people come with their plastic sandwiches and all that, and you sometimes, well, I do sometimes, and I'm sure you do, you don't have the time sometimes, and you get ready meals or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you bring your own food, do they look, that looks amazing. That looks amazing. Oh my God.
Bringing in leftovers the next day.
How did you do it? Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. My last team, when I really started getting into cooking, no, it was a few jobs ago, I'm incapable of cooking for two people. So I was constantly bringing in leftovers the next day for the team. And one day I came in with like porchetta sandwiches and stuff like that. And just
next level.
Yeah. How's that for lunch? Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. So moving on down the list.
Yep. Sorry. Yeah.
I think I kind of doubt it, but always drink unpasteurized milk. I don't know why this is here. I don't know why this is here. Well, I grew up when I was in Romania, when I was little, I only had unpasteurized milk.
Yeah.
Especially having my family, having a farm. Well, it was like a little farm. It was producing basically just for the family, not necessarily selling it.
Yeah.
So it was quite common. But in Jersey, I kind of doubt
it's very de rigueur now, isn't it? Like raw milk or whatever they call it. But I don't think you can improve on Jersey milk.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't tried it unpasteurized, I'll admit, but I can't see it being any better. But yeah.
Only ever cook in expensive copper pot.
So I do love a carbon steel, I do have some nice pots and pans, I must admit, but I don't have copper pots. I don't have copper pots.
That would be like, that's the next level.
I feel like copper pots should be hung up and not used, right?
Just the way they look. And that's it.
I bought a lovely carbon steel wok that was a beautiful color. And then I seasoned it and used it a few times on the, and now it's not as pretty. But I mean, it's brilliant. It just, I've properly seasoned it and everything. But I just feel like I should have hung it up and looked at it. It was so nice. So no copper pots, not for me.
Yeah, I find, especially because I'm using I'm using induction. I'm in love with induction. I do love gas. When I was working in the kitchen, professional kitchens, I think gas is better, but you know, for the heat that it generates, it's kind of hard working with it during summer. So it's got benefits, upside and downside. But you know, since I discovered the discovered induction, I'm like, this is it. It heats up fast. Obviously, you need to have an understanding of how it works, because otherwise you're gonna burn like the heck out of everything. But yeah, I don't think they don't work actually on induction. Copper ones. So for me, I'm definitely not thinking about changing, at least not yet. So yeah, moving down the line, you have a set of Japanese chef's knives with a Damascus blade.
I haven't got a Damascus blade, but I have got.
But you do have the knife.
I've got globals. I've got global knives, and I turned 40 last year, and I was very lucky to get a TOG chef's knife for my birthday, which is the most amazing thing in the whole world. I love it so much. But yeah, so yeah, that one is a bit true. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, yeah.
There is one here which I don't see how it made it on the list, but anyway, you own a $5,000 Paco jet. If you know what Paco jet,
no, I haven't got.
Well, look, it's like,
I haven't got a Paco jet. I haven't got a Thermomix. I haven't got an air fryer, and I haven't got a sous vide machine. I might get a sous vide machine, but the other ones, no. We're at a
Do you feel that are overrated for home cooking? Because sometimes some stuff,
yeah. I mean, the thing is, I'll get one of those wand sous vide. You know, you clip onto the side of a tub, and I'll use
like
it
100 quid.
once every 2 months. You know what I mean? It'll be that kind of thing. Our house, we've got a finite amount of room in our kitchen now because I filled it up with stuff. So it's 1 in, 1 out is the rule now. So when we got rid of the slow cooker, because I bought an instant pot because I wanted a pressure cooker and a rice cooker.
Amazing.
Get a rice cooker; it's the best thing in the whole world. So we do 1 in, 1 out there, but no, I haven't got room for a Paco jet and all that kind of thing. I'm trying to convince my wife that we should get a Mocha Master coffee maker at the moment, but I don't think I'm winning now.
Actually, funny you say that. He actually says here, you know, you spent over $3,000 on a coffee machine.
No, it's not going to be that much. I do have every type of coffee. So I've got an AeroPress, and I use a V60 every morning, and I've got all sorts of different Japanese Hario coffee makers. It was another thing during lockdown. I couldn't go to Dandy and get my morning coffee. So I had to learn how to make good coffee. And again, Hario and all these people make 100 different types of way of making coffee. So I was like, well, what else am I going to do? I'm going to learn how to make it. So yeah, so I've got all of those as well. I might have spent 3,000 altogether, but not on one, certainly.
Takes photos of the food. That's
And
And
I've never gotten over feeling awkward about doing it in a restaurant. I always feel like I did it today in upstairs having that burger. I was like taking a photo and was like, please don't.
Hopefully
Nobody look at me. Like, look at the photo later. But yeah, no, I do.
Well, we made it. Yeah, I mean, there is something else here which I feel like is just really weird about offal and bones everywhere. Like, I didn't even know.
So like sweetbreads and stuff like that. And yeah, I suppose I don't really cook. So I make my own stock and things like that because everybody should if you've had chicken and things like that. I don't really cook offal. I don't even know where I will get it, to be honest. I do like offal and sweetbreads and stuff like that. They did sweetbreads in breadcrumbs in Samphire for a little while. They were incredible. But no, it's not something I cook with.
It's funny, like one of the most well not known, I would say in Romania, popular, not well known because not everybody likes it, even in Romania, but it's definitely known, and it's definitely like either like it or hate it, is tripe soup.
Sure, yeah. It's meant to be incredibly good for hangovers, isn't it?
Yes, because the way in Romania is made is slightly sour as well. It's with sour cream actually in the first place, and it's quite because it's made, talking about bones, you know, it's got some of that reduction, so it's
like
got
a
deep
broth
flavor.
type
Yeah, it's broth, but it's quite consistent. You know, it's got like quite a lot of
well, I mean, saying about that, then actually, this probably does prove I'm a food wanker. Somebody at work bought me a can of tripe in a couple of weeks ago. I was going through the cupboard and I thought you might want this, and I was like, an expired can of tripe from Spain. Thanks, like, thank you for thinking of me, but I'm not sure that's gonna. I don't have a problem with tripe, but this is about 40 years old. Yeah, it was very strange. So yeah, so clearly somebody thinks I'm.
Yeah, so many things. Yeah. You tick quite a few boxes here, which is impressive.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, I learned a new term which I didn't even know that existed, which is great. Yeah. Any other plans of what you have in mind?
Yeah,
career wise. Outside of work.
Well, yeah, outside of work. Well, work. I mean, work is just something that pays for me to do the writing and go to restaurants and stuff, as far as I'm concerned. They'll be thrilled to hear that, I'm sure, if they watch this. Keep writing, more reviews. I want to try and get to the bottom of being a foodie in Jersey, because I think it's quite a specific thing. I mean, not necessarily Jersey, but living on an island. We can go to London and all that kind of thing. Something that drives me crazy is when people go to new restaurants in Jersey, and they say, it's like being in the city. And you're like, well, I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be like being in Jersey in goods, And I think sometimes people ignore the good parts of restaurants that are the Jersey, the local produce and that kind of thing, because they just want to feel like they're in London or wherever. Which I think is a shame, because Jersey is amazing. We've all literally chosen to live here. So I want to try and get to the bottom of that a little bit, and more about like what Jersey's like food identity is now, because I don't think it is Wonders and Bean Crock and stuff like that anymore. Those are things. Those are
it's almost like part of the heritage, not necessarily
it's not
today.
So either that needs to be updated and brought into the present and the future, or I'd quite like to get to the bottom of that. I am still toying with the idea of maybe doing like some kind of pop-up or an event or something like that. To cook, which would be quite cool. But my fear is turning something I love into a job.
Yeah, you're right, because then it changed the dynamics.
Yeah. I get stressed out cooking 6 pizzas at a time. So if I suddenly had to cook 40 or 140 smash burgers, I'd be one of those people in the kitchen that's like, super focused and in a very bad mood, but insisting they're enjoying themselves. And I just don't know that I want to subject anybody to that. But we'll see. I think if you want, I think I need to put you in touch with an island chef. It's like only you and him that does this. I mean, look, he's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, I looked at his site actually the other day, funnily enough.
Yeah.
I've always looked at his
and
Instagram, but I didn't realize his site.
I think it would be great, to have a conversation.
And really varied as well.
Yes.
Like real variety.
And you could probably talk for hours.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think now finally we talk about Donald's. I think he recently got a job with Donald's.
Oh, he's like the spirits expert type thing? Yeah, okay. Yeah,
around that,
Yeah, cool.
And I think it would be great to have a conversation, about this, because he can talk and he knows what he's talking about, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Having people like that is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, that's really good.
For people that want to find more about you, get in touch with you, where are you most active on social? So
Instagram is my only social. I can't deal with Twitter and Facebook. It's too stressful. So I am something on Instagram, Amazing Mac on Instagram. It's just my personal Instagram for the time being. If the site needs its own Instagram, I can't do 2 Instagrams at the moment. If it's popular, then I'll do a second Instagram. But until then, it's just gonna be mine. Or jerseyfoodandwine.com. jerseyfoodandwine.com. That's got links to everything and emails and all that kind of stuff. And I have a new article coming out every Friday now.
I was going to say, because I think it's really important. Like I do, for example, with the cooking videos which are very basic. It's just stuff that I find stuff in the fridge and let's combine.
Your site. It's cool. I really like it.
Let's just do, whatever. Nothing compared to what I used to do in a professional kitchen. Most of them are not even close. But, it does the job. It's something I like on the day. The following day, I might hate it. That's the part I like about cooking, which I always say to people, even like people commenting, you should do it differently. I'm like, surely you can. I'm like, it's amazing if you have a different idea, do it.
So I've got a real thing when I'm learning something new, I follow a recipe the first time. Because I want to get it right the first time. This is how it should be.
Yeah.
And then after that, it will change, and I'll do the bits
adapt it to what
I prefer.
Yeah.
But the thing that's a struggle with sometimes with that is if you're making something you've never had before, and living in Jersey, you can't get. So if I'm making like Filipino food, then I haven't got anywhere I can go and eat it. So I can go, this is tasty, but I don't know if it's right or not, so it's just funny. It's funny.
I feel like that sometimes with Indian food, because I love Indian food. Like one of the favorite takeaways in this house is always going to be Indian. I feel, and I like about what I like about it is the unknown. It's like tasting something. It's like, wow, I kind of feel this, but I feel that, or maybe it's that as well. Oh my god, like what's going on? It's almost like going crazy in my mind,
like a puzzle or something.
Yeah,
it's great,
but what I was gonna get is going back to consistency. Like, is that the commitment from now on? Try to get one a week?
Yeah, I think partly because if I want people to keep reading, they need to know when it's coming out.
Yeah.
That was a lesson I learned from the podcast, because we kept forgetting to edit it and they weren't coming out every month. And also I need the routine. If I don't set myself the target of once a week, I'll go, oh, I'll do that later. Oh, I didn't do it. It's too late. It's too near Friday. I'll do it next week. And it will just die a death. So I've got to set myself a routine of doing it. As I say, I've been a bit inspired recently, so I've got a few in hand, which is nice, but I can't now not do it for 4 weeks because I've got stuff, because I just won't go back to it.
Yeah. And if you feel like, the way I treat it is almost like, is a customer on the other end, which is not, but like the way, they pay me to do it.
Yeah.
Although they don't,
But it's that thing,
is
if you've got
trick your mind.
an audience of however big, they're expecting something on Friday.
If you have one person that you disappoint, that's bad. I always feel like that.
No,
and especially with this podcast, because now this will be 37, I think 37, 38 or whatever episode. And because I have a newsletter, that was the main purpose of the newsletter. I'm like, if I need to send 2 emails a month saying that the episode is out, if it comes 1st of the month or 15th of the month and I don't have one ready for whatever reason, people shouldn't care, what are my problems, I should have one ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it feels like
you
a
can't
duty.
Email everybody
Honestly,
and say,
like I
I'm
feel
busy this week at work, sorry. Yeah, no, of course.
I actually thought about that, honestly. I'm like, I think like eventually it will happen where, for different reasons, like I was actually very close to not have an episode, and I'm like, I don't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. But I was very close because we had the schedule, people cancelled. It was bad timing. It was, I think, half term or whatever.
Sure,
yeah, people couldn't make it. It wasn't to blame them. It was, I was a bit away. So when I got back, I was like, oh, there's plenty of time. We already scheduled 2 or 3. And then as it happened, only one could make it. And I think it was a day or a day and
suddenly you're on the back foot.
Oh yeah, honestly. And then you see myself editing till like 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't do a huge edit on them, but I still want them to look good.
You only do that once. You learn that lesson once.
Yes.
I've done the same thing, editing a podcast on a Friday night at 10 o'clock full of wine. Does this sound all right? Like, oh God, yeah, I know. You do it once and then you never do it again.
Totally.
Yeah.
Mike, it was a pleasure. I really enjoyed this. Honestly,
great.
different breath, different kind of conversation, because sometimes I feel like this podcast, my fault as well, it turns into some sort of like sad story because we're talking about all the challenges hospitality has, all the problems they do and they're facing. And this was a very positive one, I would say.
Oh, good. No, that's good. No, well, thank you for having me. It's been great.
And when you get this blog or maybe vlog eventually to the next level, we would like to have you back and talk more about it.
Absolutely, love to.
You will go all over the island probably and review more restaurants, and you'll have a lot more insight of like what works, what doesn't.
After the smash burger today, I've got to go to the Sands and have the smash burger, and then I'm going to write an article about who makes the best smash burger.
Golden Sands?
But no, the Sands out in St. Juan's.
Oh.
So Sands, sorry, not the Sands. Sands. They do a smash burger as well, so... but you've got to go and get it.
People were saying that the Hungry Man, but I don't think that's smash burger they do.
The Hungry Man is amazing, but I don't think it's a smash burger.
Yeah.
The Hungry Man is legit, though. I mean, that's an institution, isn't it? That's so good. Anyway, right, we'll talk about burgers all night.
It's about cooking, it's about hospitality, it's about wine. Everything is on subject, so we're all good. My pleasure. Amazing. So we'll definitely see you next time.
Yeah.
I hope they continue doing what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks.
Amazing.
Thanks.